Hello and welcome to the weekend wrap-up. I'm Tamer Knight. A suspect in a shooting on the UCA campus back in April has managed to evade police not once but twice. All of this happened in the city of Hazen, where the suspect managed to steal 2 cars to escape from police. THV's 11 Rebecca Brown updates us on the search for the elusive shooting suspect.
Don't approach him. We're considering him armed and dangerous.
You may recognize the man in this video. 23-year-old Zion Jackson, wanted in connection to an April shooting at the University of Central Arkansas.
Ain't worried about no stupid warrant too. The jail's full.
Now a month later, he's facing more charges. Hazen Police Chief Bradley Taylor says Jackson has slipped away from his officers not once, but twice.
The individual pulled into the Family Dollar Tree there off the highway. Normal routine traffic stop. There's 2 females in the vehicle. Officer Cook smells a strong odor of marijuana coming from the car. Asked the passenger's exit. At that time, he got a black male passenger out of the back seat that was sitting in the back seat.
The man was later identified as Mr. Jackson, but in the video, that's not the name he gave the officer.
Timothy, what's your name?
My name is Nathaniel.
Nathaniel what?
Nathaniel Edwards.
Okay.
Come to find out, it was Mr. Zion Jackson, who was actually wanted for the shooting, one of the shootings on the campus at UCA sometime in April.
Moments later, the stop turned into a chase.
I got one that run off.
Chief Bradley says Jackson got away, prompting a search. Hours later, officers crossed paths with him again in a second encounter.
One of my night shift guys, Officer Feltz, he was riding down this street here, Front Street, and then he initiated a traffic stop, and then Mr. Jackson fled again in a city vehicle.
Chief Bradley says the officer called for backup and set up a perimeter, but Jackson got away. Police later learned he made it back into town and stole a truck.
This was a Saturday night, early Sunday morning, and the truck was actually spotted in Searcy, Arkansas about 7 a.m. the next morning.
In Hazen, Rebecca Brown, THV 11 News.
Now, according to Chief Bradley, Jackson is now facing several charges in Hazen. The department is working with the U.S. Marshal and Conway Police to track him down. If you see him, call the police immediately. A desperate search continues in Pine Bluff. A mother of 3 vanished without a trace. Jonelle Brandon hasn't been seen in over a week. Now her children are racing against time to find her and get her the daily medication she needs. Maya Ellison brings us the family's emotional plea for help.
It's been hard. It's been very challenging each day that we don't hear her voice, see her face, or just know where she is.
It's been nearly a week since MJ and her 2 siblings have seen their mother, Jonelle Brandon. According to Pine Bluff Police, Brandon was last seen here last Tuesday on University Avenue.
On maybe 9 o'clock, whenever we took her over to a family friend's house, which is a guy that's been in our family around for a long time, and he's very trustable. And he informed us that she was picked up by the guy in the white box truck from his residence.
MJ tells me she was told that her mom was dropped off around the corner from their home rather than at their doorstep. That night, she also received a message that did not seem normal.
I also received a message from my mother around 1:56 a.m. asking to please open the door. She doesn't text in complete sentences, and that message was a little off to me. And then I got up to open the door, she never came home.
The next day, there was still no word from Miss Brandon. On top of not knowing where she is, MJ tells me her mom relies on medication, making this even more odd.
My mom is known to communicate with us and contact us, and it just wasn't like her to text my sister and say unlock the door when she's gonna call when she's outside.
On Wednesday, she notified Pine Bluff Police about her mom. Law enforcement officials providing this description of Brandon. She's listed at 5'2" with distinctive burn scars on her neck and right arm. But MJ tells me it's been a restless week searching for her mom.
I hear my mother's voice every time I close my eyes. And it's heartbreaking, it's hard. Because I want to rest, but my body and my mind won't let me find my mom.
That search is what keeps hope alive for MJ and her family.
And we won't stop. We will not stop. Day and night, 24 hours, we will not stop.
In Pine Bluff, Maya Ellison, THV 11 News.
Meanwhile, a spark of hope for an Arkansas family who spent years waiting in the dark for answers. The Arkansas Attorney General's office launched a cold case unit last year to dig into these kinds of cases. As Carter 3 shows us, the team is just getting started.
Sad, mad, failed. A lot of different emotions happened that day.
Thursday marks 7 years since that day when the body of 18-year-old Ebby Stepik was found at Shalamont Park, around 3 years after her disappearance. Attorney General Tim Griffin says it was cases like this one that inspired his office to start a cold case unit.
I mentioned it on a text chain, and I just said, hey, is this something we should do? And we got the conversation going.
Griffin says in their first year, the unit has tried to be a resource and partner for law enforcement agencies statewide. They have to be, because in order to work on cases, local law enforcement often has to give them permission to access case files.
We don't want to take the file from anybody. We want to share in the information. We want to just provide extra eyes.
One case they're now providing extra eyes on is Ebby's. Her mom, Lori, telling me she knows and trusts many of the investigators involved in the new unit.
I'm very thankful Little Rock agreed to let the AG work on Ebby's case. I'm very grateful for that.
But Lori says while she does have high hopes for the AG's investigation, she'll be content whatever the outcome. It's taken several years of work to get to that point.
I want to give people hope that you can get through it. And there is a different life. It's not the same life, but there is a life of happiness eventually.
In Little Rock, Carter Thweet, THV 11 News.
The Attorney General says the team has access to the latest technology and resources and says they're making some great strides. He hopes to be able to share very soon. Several parts of Arkansas are cleaning up after severe weather this week. This is an area view of storm damage in Hot Spring County. We now know the National Weather Service confirms an EF1 tornado with max winds of 110 miles an hour blew through the area. From the ground, extensive damage to several homes. It appears the tornado began at a waterspout on Del Gray Lake before moving to land. It's the 6th tornado in the state from early Tuesday morning. 5 others were confirmed in northwest Arkansas. Red Cross volunteers walked the streets in Greenland this week, checking in on homeowners and handing out essentials like water, blankets, tarps, and tools. One volunteer tells us, amid the damage, there's also community, connection, and a lot of compassion among neighbors.
People have a story to tell. They've been through a traumatic experience, and honestly, a lot of people just kind of want to talk about that. They're happy to know we're out there.
The Red Cross will keep helping with things like medication replacement, pet care, and temporary housing if needed. President Trump said the one big, beautiful budget bill, which passed the House early Thursday morning, may be the most significant legislation in the history of our country. It includes many of the priorities he campaigns on. But as Bradley Blackburn explains from New York, there's still work to do before Trump can sign it into law.
The House debated through the night before narrowly passing President Trump's budget bill early Thursday morning.
On this vote, the yeas are 215, the nays are 214, with one answering present. The bill is passed.
It took weeks of negotiations, including pressure from the president himself to get it over the line.
It was not easy to get to where we were this morning. A long series of late nights in this week, and ultimately the president closed it out.
The bill makes permanent Trump's 2017 tax cuts, which were set to expire next year. It also cuts taxes on tips and overtime. It increases spending on the military and border security. To pay for all of that, it cuts spending on food stamps and slashes nearly $700 billion from federal funding for Medicaid, which the Congressional Budget Office says would lead to nearly 8 million people losing health coverage.
What we've seen is the largest cut to Medicaid in American history.
The House version of the bill now heads to the Senate, where several Republicans aren't sold.
The Senate will basically write its own version of this bill, and I just want to make sure that there are no Medicaid benefit cuts. I'm concerned about some of what the House has done on rural hospitals, essentially, the hospital tax.
House leaders warned their Senate colleagues not to go too far.
Think of this as a one-team effort, as we have, and to modify this as little as possible.
Republicans are hoping to get the bill to President Trump to sign by the 4th of July. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Now, if changes are made in the Senate, the bill will need to be revoted on in the House before it can be signed into law. House Speaker Mike Johnson said the margin should have been 217 to 214, but one Republican member fell asleep and missed the vote, and another attempted to vote too late. But both of those members have also been critical of the bill in the past. We also have a heads up for anyone on Social Security. You could soon see some major changes to your benefits. Right now, more than 72 million Americans receive Social Security benefits. These changes we're talking about impacts close to 3 million of them. That includes retired teachers, firefighters, police, and some federal workers who receive a public pension that did not withhold Social Security tax. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger breaks down what you could see if you're affected by the change.
It's not every single one of them, but these folks could see increases of what they say is maybe a few dollars a month to up to $1,000 a month in a benefit change. So this is a real game changer for a lot of those folks who did not actually pay into the Social Security system. Just to know, you don't have to do anything. The government will actually inform you, and you might even just see it in your check coming through.
And if you're a retiree who's been getting more money from the Social Security system in overpayment, the federal government will withhold 50% of your benefits until that money is repaid. Summer is almost here and a lot of people may already be blasting the AC. But after the break, we'll show you how tariffs could make it even more expensive to keep your home cool. Summer is almost here and so is the heat. You may already be blasting the AC and you may have seen the rumors that tariffs could make it more expensive to keep your home cool. Maya Ellison spoke with those who are already seeing the impacts and what they are doing to balance the costs.
Staying cool this summer could come with a price.
I mean, the tariff impact is obviously going to impact a lot of aspects of the business, but it's mainly due to price.
Corey Miller with Refrigeration Electric Supply Company says news of tariffs impacting AC unit production leaves them bracing for those higher costs.
The issue is just overall price increases, and that's kind of what it's hurting.
For wholesale companies, those prices can vary. Repair companies source their supplies from places like China, a key manufacturer of HVAC units and the parts that come with fixing them. An industry now being impacted by President Trump's ongoing trade war with the country.
The most expensive part of any home is going to be your HVAC unit. It's going to be the most energy consuming, it's going to be the most expensive when needing to replace, and not everybody just has many thousands of dollars just to throw down on an AC machine when their unit kind of stops working.
And with the fluctuating costs, local suppliers are also feeling effects.
What we're seeing is a 3 to 7% increase quarterly. So, something that might cost $7,000 could turn into, costing $7,500 to $7,400.
Thomas says they are doing what they can to make adjustments for customers, but the prices will still eventually impact everyone.
All these manufacturers are having to increase their prices. Then the supply houses are increasing their prices for just the miscellaneous parts that we need to finish changeouts or installs. And then that's just ultimately coming down on us. So that's why we're having to increase our prices as well.
That's why he advises Arkansans to plan ahead.
Definitely get your AC systems maintenanced and serviced every year at the beginning of every summer. That will cause you a lot less headaches down the road.
In Little Rock, Maya Ellison, THV 11 News.
Other than knowing your electric bill goes up in the summer to keep you cool and your gas bill rises in the winter to stay warm, almost nobody has a good idea how the numbers on our utility bills get there. It's way more than just you use this much juice, you pay this much cash, and that can be frustrating when economic times get tight. So Rolly Holt did some digging and got some answers on how rates are regulated.
There's a lot of really in-depth testimony, analysis, review.
The scope of what goes into keeping the lights on every day is the generation, the transmission, and the distribution assets that we have to maintain and keep up to par for our customers.
A lot goes into something we take for granted, flipping a switch and turning on the lights. Because for the people who sent you that power at a company like Entergy, a lot went into it.
We have a group of employees, about 2,800 strong, that are here in the state, and all focused on making sure that we're making the right decisions each day to keep costs low for our customers.
Ventrell Thompson is a VP for those thousands of employees, all trying to keep the massive amounts of infrastructure and emerging technology working. All of it is needed to live and needed to grow. So what keeps these utility companies from making us pay desperate amounts?
Our role as the regulator is that we are essentially here to synthesize market-like conditions.
Utilities are the monopolies we let lumber around our free market economy. And here in this building, the Public Service Commission, they're the wranglers who keep them in the pen.
Important part of that is that the utility needs to be able to continue to provide safe, adequate, reliable service.
Danny Hofer is the Chief of Staff for the PSC. The numbers on your bill get there after the experts in this building run them through the ringer. When a utility like Entergy wants to charge its customers for power, Hofer's experts turn the request into something like a court case. They examine, analyze, haggle, and shake down the numbers with two things in mind. Can the utility fairly make some money for all that hard work? And
ratepayers need to have rates that are reasonable.
The utility makes their case, the experts weigh in, including outside environmental groups and consumer groups and the Attorney General. Big industrial customers, and people worried about their backyard. It all goes before three people appointed by the governor who make a final determination.
Is this fair to ratepayers? Does this support the utility's ability to continue to provide that safe, adequate, reliable power?
And sometimes the answer to those questions doesn't satisfy everybody. For instance, the mess when Summit Utilities bought natural gas provider CenterPoint in 2022. Computer glitches, inflation, and a record cold snap led the newly elected Attorney General to investigate their rates. Eventually, the commission had Summit postpone increases and spread them out to avoid winter spikes this year. Entergy also recently wrapped up a new rate docket, but a new wrinkle is about to be added to the process. Power companies expect demand to grow, and they say they need to get paid for meeting that demand sooner.
Power is one of the main reasons that customers are looking to come into the state. It's affordable, it's reliable. And so one of the things we have to do is to make sure that we can continue to offer that.
Lawmakers, led by State Senator Jonathan Dismang, obliged by passing the Generating Jobs Act this past session. It's supposed to let companies increase rates to pay for those big new investments before and while they get built.
There's just a fundamental truth, and that is we have to have new power in Arkansas. We have coal plants that are at end of life, and we also have growth in this state, whether it be residential or on the industrial side, that requires a new level of energy creation here in the state.
Critics worry that the new pay up front, or at least pay before it's done system, short-circuits the PSC. Hofer can't comment on that because the commission has to stay neutral and rules still have to be written. Entergy is confident it'll save money later, especially when it comes to financing costs.
You spend those dollars on the front end, those dollars get capitalized, and they're recovered for the life of that unit. However, if you pay those financing costs up front, it lowers the overall cost of the project, which means that project is now cheaper and less cost for our customers.
Neighboring states use this method with their big utilities. No one keeps track of whether those ratepayers register more complaints when they get their bills. Regardless, the PSC has an entire department ready to field those calls.
And I think that's the biggest thing that we get, is that we get just people with questions who need someone to explain it to them. And so that's what we're hoping to do.
Still ahead, a routine faculty meeting turns out to be something much more special. A Whiteall High School employee is giving the school a reason to celebrate. But first, it's time to eat it up.
Everybody in this joint is staring, but they're not staring at me or the cameras. They're staring at this chocolate gravy because they know they're about to order it up next. This week on Eat It Up, there is no place like home. I am back in Cabot at Cheryl's Diner. Full confession, y'all, I've been coming to this exact spot since before it was Cheryl's Diner 11 years ago, but I have to admit, it may be better than ever in 2025. They've got incredible burgers. I'm gonna get to try my delicious Reuben, and got 2 words for you: chocolate gravy. So what do you say? Let's eat it up!
We have been here for 11 years. It'll be at the end of July that we've been here 11 years. Before this was Jane's Kitchen. You probably remember, you're a Cabot native, that you remember growing up or whatever. It was closed down, I think, for about maybe a year. And then Cheryl came in here and opened it up. Everyone knows Cheryl. Cheryl's been a server in the local area for a long time, well over 30 years. We love our military. We're big military. We give active and retired military discounts since we're so close to the base, and the military is dear to us. So yes, we'll say 80% I know by name. I know 90% of their faces, and I'm ashamed that I don't know everybody's name. Well, we sell chocolate gravy, which a lot of people either don't know about chocolate gravy or have never heard of it or cannot get it. We also sell our fried green tomatoes that are fabulous. People come here and just love them. We make them from 6 a.m. all the way till we close at 2. It's not necessarily a lunch item. Our hamburgers are hand pattied, freshly pattied, 8 ounces. We hand cut our fries here. They're freshly cut fries. We batter our chicken here, so none of our chicken is frozen or any of that. People ask me what my favorite thing is, and we've literally eaten it all.
We gotta try this chocolate gravy. Butter and love. I'm all about it. It tastes like 3rd grade. It tastes like coming to this diner in 2000. Does anything say being back home in Cabot in May than fried green tomatoes? You just can't beat them. You could eat a pound of these. Just so good. Did y'all see how they made these chicken tenders in the butter and the batter and back and forth? There's a different camera lens on to make sure that this chicken strip fit into frame. It's good to be home, baby. It's good to be home.
Let's wrap up the week with a surprise celebration at one Jefferson County High School. Whiteall High School honored one of their own who is proof that anything is possible with a little perseverance, purpose, and powerful support. Journey Taylor introduces us to Leslie Mitchell and her inspiring story of determination.
Okay, good morning, guys.
Just one last faculty meeting before the last school bell rings at Whiteall High.
A couple of years ago, I hounded this person to go and finish a degree because there was potential in this person.
However, this meeting comes with a different task, the obligation of celebration.
That's how selfless she is. She skipped her own graduation to go to her niece's graduation in Oklahoma. So today is her graduation ceremony. Okay?
The Bulldog family celebrating one of their own, School Secretary Leslie Mitchell, who secured a bachelor's degree in paraprofessional studies in education from the University of Arkansas.
I'd like to say it's not necessarily about the destination, but it's about that journey. It's about that desire to always continuously improve and do better.
That support is what Leslie says has carried her through on a journey that started 5 years ago when she first returned to WHHS.
I never thought that I was capable, mentally ready, but I had obviously a huge support system. Those that was in that corner there, we text just about every day. They were always there. They were still there with me. Thank you all of them.
The desire to return to school was one created from legacy.
As I started this path, my mom, who is no longer with us, she went back to school when I was 11, 12 years old. I remember going in the summer and being with her. I learned to swim because of her class that she did at UAPB. But she was never able to pass her praxis.
Now standing on the foundation her mother laid for her, praxis already passed days after graduating, her education journey in the classroom will now begin.
I see why she always wanted to do that. I see why she wanted to change the world through kids.
Oh, but the story gets better. Leslie, not only a grad of Whiteall, an all-star softball and basketball player, mom of Whiteall students, and the wife of Whiteall teacher and coach Jason Mitchell. It's a Bulldog fairy tale.
I applied for the assistant girls basketball coach and teaching health and PE. So after the interview, hopefully I will be able to tell you that I am the new assistant girls basketball coach.
And while she's likely to secure the job, the true goal, once she receives it, is to leave a legacy of compassion.
That it is one of love, it is one of enduring, it is one of compassion. I want people to say, I want people to feel better when they leave me.
A big congrats to Leslie from all of us at THV 11, and that's a wrap for your weekend wrap up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week.